Today is Wednesday, October 11th, and we woke up to good news, and then bad news, and then maybe some more bad news, and then maybe some more good news. And you definitely felt it worse if you were on maybe the East Coast or the West Coast. Anyway, this is Salute to the Years in episode 75, and we discuss it next. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Years. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Erica.
And news started hitting this morning, which is Wednesday, bright and early.
That's what we woke up to.
It wasn't even bright. It was just early. I didn't even have coffee or worked out. I barely even wiped the sleep out of my eyes at that point.
Yeah.
And just happened to open up Twitter or X or whatever it is now, and news was already flying around.
Well, and what's so funny is that it was some good news first.
Right. No, they blasted us with good news first.
They blasted us with good news first.
Like,
they
hey, look at this.
Sweetened the, well, don't look what I'm doing over here.
Yeah, it was definitely oh, look at the pretty shiny thing here. Yeah. Isn't this so nice?
Oh,
by the way, don't look over here.
Don't look over here. This stuff is going to piss you off.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the news, we should start with let's start with the bad news.
No, let's start with the good news.
I think we'll be talking about the bad news longer.
Really?
So yeah.
All right.
So lots of price increases.
Lots of price increases, especially out in Disneyland.
Right.
Some in World, but not as many.
Right. And I think more of them are going to be trickling in as we get to do things. And I just realized when I forgot to write down. So we'll still talk about it though. But I think some food stuff's going to be trickling in.
Oh, yeah.
Over time here too. Prices of different.
Oh, is that the one that you forgot to write down?
Yeah.
I'll pull it up. I know what it is.
But I think we're going to start seeing some snack prices, some quick service prices, and that kind of stuff going up as well. That's just my guess. We just haven't really seen anything on it yet. But everything from annual passes down in Walt Disney World and Magic Keys, which is the annual pass for Disneyland, those really went up.
Yeah, they did.
In Disney World, the tiers didn't change. So if you live out of state like us, you can only get one. That's the Incredipass. But the prices of those went anywhere from $30, a $30 increase to a $50 increase. So now the cheapest being $439 per person. That's up $40. So the most expensive, which is the Incredipass, which if you're out of state, that's the only one you can get. And that went up $50 and is now $14.49.
Which just feels insane to me.
Right. You have to go quite a few days. You have to especially us that can get the military discount, which those should roll out here in the next month or so.
But, I mean, that's, when all is said and done, then with that, you're spending over $1,500, by the time you add in taxes and everything. And I'm sitting here looking at that and going, okay, we could go 3 times for that price. Each of us could go at least 3 times for 5-day tickets. No. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
3 or 4 times on 5-day tickets. We could go 20 days on that, on our military tickets, but you can't get that many days.
Right. You can only get 6.
You can only get them.
So, for us to go, when we just did our last trip, military tickets on 4 days, it was less than $700 for the 2 of us.
Right.
Which is, it was a little less than $350 per person for the 4 days.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is considerably cheaper than...
If you do potential, certain ticket packages and ticket and room packages and things, you can get where a 4-day per person may be not a whole lot more than that, depending on what your package and, all those things are. There are deals sometimes on stuff that's not just military. But I just feel like if you plan to go every month or every other month and be there for 3 or 4 days at least,
right.
All right.
Right.
As an out-of-state person, that's okay. I'm like, most of your out of state people aren't going to be there and use that often enough to make
Mm-mm.
it worth it.
Right. It's for us to do that. Yeah, we'd have to make a bunch of short trips
Mm-hmm.
in order to make that
The
worthwhile.
nice thing about it is that you have the least amount of blackout dates.
Right. You don't know that with that one you don't have any blackout dates.
I thought you still had
No, you
one.
don't. You don't have any with that one. And then still do get you get discounts. You get more perks with the Disney World annual pass
Mm-hmm.
than you do with the Disneyland. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not a whole lot of perks with that one.
No.
But as we've said before, Disneyland is definitely a park that's driven by locals,
Mm-hmm.
or people who go a lot, like a
Right.
lot of West Coasters. Like I know there's a lot of people up in Pacific Northwest that will make their way down several times a year.
Yeah, I know. I met somebody today who said that she grew up in Arizona, and
Yeah,
so they would
they'd make their
drive
way out
over.
there.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
mean, you know, it's like 5 6 hours, like at the most, and um, you know, so you're able to go several times. Yeah, like we would do that if that was the, you know, if it was a 1 day drive for us,
right.
it'd be a totally different ball game.
Yeah. So
We'd be really broke.
yeah, Disneyland's Magic Key, which is their annual pass, went up anywhere from $50 to $150, and is now the cheapest being $499, and the most expensive being $1650.
I am still shocked that the more expensive, like, is Disneyland
Right.
having an annual pass. Like,
Yeah. Even tickets were comparable, like very close in cost was Disneyland and Disney World, just like regular tickets whenever we went out
that's
there.
true.
Right.
I feel like you have so many more experience opportunities in Florida than you do in California,
Well, it
but
depends on what you're into. Like
I guess
if you're real, if meet and greets are your thing, Disneyland is your place.
that's true.
Like there is so much more for meet and greets at Disneyland and DCA than I think there is
So if
in.
you had to choose one, somebody was like, here's $1,500, pick which one you want.
I'm probably still for me and where our heart lies. I'm probably still going to go to Florida,
Yeah.
and I know like Disneyland people don't like this part, but I really really like DCA.
Yeah, I do
Like
too.
and like watching like videos of like Oogie Boogie, and I'm like, man, I really miss DCA.
Yeah, I do too.
But like I've said before, like I need to give Disneyland another shot, and I would like to do it with Disneyland people.
Hmm. It's so hard because I'm like, that is for our family, for all four of us to have an annual pass.
Yeah,
Like if all four of us were going to have an annual pass, that is
six.
not including really taxes, right?
Right,
Like not just like a service, you know, just
right.
rounding it out to $1,500 a piece.
Yeah,
$6,000
right.
for us. And I'm like, that's an entire vacation for us
Yeah,
down there. That's like
that,
a
that's
nice vacation down
that's
there
not
for us.
including hotels or flights or anything.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, we can go
Right.
and have a really nice time for several days,
Yeah.
including the hotel, including the flights, including a lot of things for that.
Right. Yeah. No,
It it's hard to justify for me when we aren't close enough to do it very regularly.
right. I think it's hard to justify like your whole family doing that. It's like I guess if you don't have any other discounts and maybe DVC, but now DVC can get the next tier down, which is like $9.99, or it's considerably less. But there's more blackout dates with
Yeah.
that.
And
But
unfortunately, a lot of the blackout dates are either holidays or weekends.
mm-hmm,
And so that does make it more difficult if
it does.
you have kids and you have, you know, stuff where your job you need to be able to go on the weekends or
Mm-hmm, it does.
yeah.
I mean, good news is Walt Disney World's ticket prices didn't change,
Yeah.
other than their annual passes.
Lands did though.
Lands did, and theirs is set up in a different. It's not just a fixed price each day.
Right.
Every day is a different tier,
Well,
going
that's
from tier 0 to
it's
tier
like
9.
Well, and World does the same thing. I mean, they have like a ticket prices change depending on time of year,
Somewhat, yeah.
like peak seasons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like ticket prices
Yeah,
can fluctuate some,
they can.
but not in the same way. But they have the tier system for, or like a scale for Genie Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But then Disneyland has it for their tickets,
Right.
and then Genie Plus is fixed
Stays.
rate,
Right.
and it went up too.
It did. So first, the Disneyland tickets, like your tier 0, like your cheapest days, it didn't change at all. Like it's still the same price, and that's 104.
Which isn't bad.
It's not bad.
It's still cheaper than going to the Taylor Swift concert.
It is. It's cheaper than a lot of things
It's
now.
still cheaper than going to the Lauren Daigle concert.
Yeah.
Or it's about the same as what it costs us for the Lauren Daigle concert.
But their most expensive one, like, went all the way up to 194. So most tiers they had days that have or the tiers that had the most days in them went up somewhere between $10 and $15 a day.
It just seems crazy. Now, you did point out something though, that there are more tier 0 days
Right.
coming up in the next 5 months than there were previously.
Yeah. More than there was this previous year.
So that's nice that there are more days available that are tier 0 versus, and are going to be that 104 price versus days that are going to be that 194. And those are going to be your like crazy busy high, those days are the ones that are like Christmas.
Right. Which like, those are the days.
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. Where it's going to be really busy and you're going to be like, I don't want to stand in these lines because it's really busy. So I need Genie Plus. Well, now it's going to cost you $30 per day per person.
So we pointed out that for the 4 of us, we were talking about this before we recorded and like trying to figure out like what, some of our thoughts were on this. And I was like, so $30 a person, okay, $120 for the 4 of us to do one day of Genie Plus means, okay, 120 is kind of an average price for a ticket then, right? And for, some of those lower tier days.
Yeah.
You could bring a whole other person with you.
Right.
We could have a whole other ticket that we purchased and stand in line a little more with somebody else that we want to hang out with.
Right.
Or we could buy Genie Plus.
Right.
Like that is insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, for 3 days, or for a family of 4, you're talking an extra $360. Yeah. That's a lot.
That one is one where I feel like some of these numbers and some of the other numbers we've got to still talk about, where I go, it doesn't blow your budget.
Right.
Right. Because it's $5 and $10 and so even when you add it all up over the course of your trip, it's like,
right.
These are one-time fees. They're not like as, they're not per person. They're not type fees, but this is one where I feel like your budget could potentially change for your trip.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that could ruin your food budget or ruin your,
because
that's not including those individual Lightning Lane.
No, it's not. And it's not like it's a $30 increase from what it is now. I mean, it's like what, $5 increase from what it is now, but still it's
10, isn't it? Wasn't it 20 or was it 25?
I think it's 25. It was 20. I think they bumped it up to 25. Now they're bumping it up to 30.
Oh, I missed the bump to 25, I think.
Yeah. But still, that's like
$15 a day felt like a lot. So
yeah,
I don't.
Right.
The 15, so to be like in my brain, Genie Plus is $15 a day still. I have a hard time. It's like when we talk about gas prices, it's like.
Right.
Or the whole thing of that was 30 years ago. And to us, we still think of the 70s versus everything's like from 2000. Not,
right. Yeah.
It's like in my head, Genie Plus is $15. So to me, I'm like, oh, it's double now.
Right.
But it's not.
It's not. But that's still something, an extra cost.
When you're talking about another $5 a day, that's another $20 a day. Well, that's a meal.
Right.
I mean, that's snacks for.
Right. That's your Micadillo bars.
That's your Micadillo bars right there. For
Then
everybody who doesn't understand, those are Mickey Premium Ice Cream Bars, and that is what Brooklyn called them when she was little, and it has stuck. They are
yes,
Micadillo bars, and
if
it'll never change.
and if you don't have a Dairy Queen by you, they have Dilly bars.
And that's where this came from.
Yes. I'm trying to think what else went up in Disneyland. I think it might be it in Disneyland. In Disney World, parking is going up.
This is parking at the parks.
Right.
Because now we are back to it's free to park at the resorts.
Yeah. Yep. So it has gone up standard parking. It will now be $30 a day to park.
Man, Edgar loves that $30 a day thing.
Yep.
Right now.
If you want preferred parking, so it gets you closer and closer to the trams and stuff, I think too. That can be anywhere from $45, $50, $55 a day. And then if you some reason you decide to drive your semi or RV into the park, it's 35 because you're an oversized vehicle.
Well, I mean, for some people who are staying on like the campgrounds or stuff,
Right.
like they might have to drive their RV one day because they're checked out or
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. The other big thing that went up in Disney World was Memory Maker.
which so this is where we were talking about the like it's not a huge increase because these are purchases that are not per person.
Right. And
Right. So these are flat fees. So
Right.
like you went $5 up a day, you went what
Well, if you
10 to $15
Right.
on Memory Maker.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's if you purchased it in advance, it went from 169 to 185, so 15, $16.
Mhm.
If you decide to wait until you get there, it's going from 199 to 210. And if you just want it for one day only, it's going from 69 to 75. So
Which I will never ever recommend the one day only unless you really truly are only there one day.
right.
But
Well, I mean, even at 210, like if this isn't your first time at the park, I don't know that I can necessarily recommend it. Like I love PhotoPass, but if you're kind of watching your budget and you got to cut something,
yeah.
like
Most PhotoPass photographers will take a photo with your phone. The one that you get caught up in with that is your character interactions that
right,
utilize the automated
right,
photo session things.
yeah,
So then you typically don't have somebody. Sometimes you have a character handler who will take photos with your phone.
mm-hmm.
Not always though.
Right.
You don't always have one that's available to do that. They may be dealing with,
Yeah. I wish they just get rid of the phone booth things.
Oh, I hate them.
Those things are awful.
The photos we got from those are horrible.
Yeah, they're not good.
I
There's no interaction. Like
I would be fine if it was like a video.
Yeah.
I'm like pull stills from a video. You could
right.
Like
they need to find something better. Like
I don't understand why it's not photo. I just don't understand why we got rid of PhotoPass photographers. But then you have PhotoPass photographers standing out on the hub,
right?
Who literally are doing people who are standing out in places that are doing nothing.
Right. I feel like they put those in, say, hey, let's see if those work. And now at their end, they're like, well, let's run with it until we can't anymore, and then we'll put photographers back in there.
Yeah.
Because they're not adding them in more places.
Yeah. One of the things that, is interesting with it is like you do have some of these things where it's like you won't get that photo otherwise.
Right.
I mean, there are magic shots. There are certain things that like unless you get it. Now, you can still buy individual photos.
Yeah.
So that is an option. So if you've got where like, hey, the only thing we would have gotten from PhotoPass is like 4 or 5 photos, you may be better off just buying the individual photos.
Right.
Depending on, you know.
If you're military, it's
$99.
It's $99. So at $99,
I'm
I'd
guessing
be like, go
that
for
will
it.
probably end up going up as well. But
I'm guessing
they have not
so.
announced prices for next year yet.
Yeah, those usually come out in October. So
they'll be coming out, but they have not announced military prices.
Right. And then what else in Disney World? Oh, water parks are going up like $5.
Yeah.
And I think I saw mini golf. It's also going up.
Which we've never done. We've had passes to that.
I know, and we've said multiple times, "Hey, let's go do this."
Well, we typically do trips though, where it's like bam, bam, bam. Like, here, we got to go to this park
Yeah.
and this park and this park and this park and try to squeeze as much in as we can. And we just don't have the down days.
Right. Yeah. And that's what you kind of need. It feels kind of weird to for us in the way we do things of like, hey, I'm gonna take the next 2 hours or 3 hours and let's go play some mini golf.
And you have to get over there, which,
Right.
I mean, depending on where you're staying, is not in more recent years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty easy as far as like Uber and things like that. And
Right.
minivans, you can do that, but then that's a cost
It is.
on top of, because we don't run a vehicle there and we don't drive in.
Right.
So yeah, there are definitely price increases. And we've said this before in other episodes of, look, if you're planning to go and you are on a budget, there are places that you can cut out
There
certain
is.
costs,
Yeah.
and you can make it where this is more affordable and that these price increases don't drastically change
Right.
your vacation. But if you are somewhere in that like mid-range budget where you're like not having to watch super close what you're spending,
Mm-hmm.
but you also don't want to be outrageous, you've got a pretty wide budget in it, take a look at what some of these things are going to add up to, because it will add up very quickly.
Yeah.
When you think about that, like you said, 3 days of Genie Plus,
Right.
not including individual lightning lanes for people, which could be $25 a person,
Yeah.
depending on the day.
Right.
So not including those individual lightning lanes, just regular Genie Plus, and you're talking about potentially spending an extra $360. Plus, you've now spent $30 a day on parking if you brought your own vehicle and parking at the parks if you're not staying on property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is still free. If you are staying on property at a Disney resort, it is still free to park in the parks for you, correct? Or not?
No.
It's just at the resort?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that's new recently. Like,
Yeah,
it's brought
that
that back.
drop.
Yeah.
Which is part of where, I mean, like, this is the thing. We all get excited because they drop, oh, we got free parking back at this place. Well, guess what? They're making it up someplace else.
Someplace. Yeah. The other place where they're going to be making up some money is with you call it the prefix meals.
Yeah. So those meals that have a fixed price before you even
Right.
sit down. So your buffets, Space 220 has
Yeah.
a prefixed menu.
Most of your character dining.
Yeah, character dining, which most of your character dining is buffet. Or
Right.
family style, whatever. And so those are meals that, do have a price increase. And let's see, those are,
I see like $5 to $7 or something like that per person.
yeah, for the most part. Some of the kids' prices only went up like $1 to $2, but several of them went up. Like Ohana went from being 45 per adult and 29 per child. It's now 49 per adult and 30 per child. So
Was
$1
that
to
was that
$4.
breakfast or dinner? Does it say
Both.
both? Because dinner is usually
No,
more
I'm sorry.
expensive.
That's breakfast prices.
Yeah.
Dinner is now 62, up from $59, and 40, up from 38.
Right.
So, again, not like you're not going from it being $35 to 60.
Right.
But those are going up.
Right.
And so when you're sitting there thinking about this meal, sitting down is going to be
$240 for the four of
Yeah.
us. Yeah. And now you just threw in another $20. Now it's $260
Mm-hmm.
plus the other just $5 here or $20 here. Like it
Yeah.
all adds up.
And I know it sounds like we're like ragging on, we're just like,
Right now, the price of everything's going up. I understand, but it's already really expensive.
mhm.
And
I feel it is starting to feel the squeeze of like your mid-range people who were still very like, yeah, we can still go. It's still okay. Like, yeah, it's more expensive and maybe we won't do this thing.
right.
Maybe we won't, maybe we'll stay at a value resort instead of a moderate or whatever.
Right.
Like maybe we'll do it this way instead of that way, just to, make up some funds there, and we can still do it and it'll still be fine. You're starting to squeeze your mid-range people out
Yeah. It's
on price.
right. It's It's getting tough. It's
And that's a fine economic line that you have to walk with, that of you do that for too long and you squeeze out too many of your mid-range people. and
right.
I'm going to keep saying mid-range and not middle class, because those are two totally different things. But like, your mid-range spenders are going to be looking at this going,
Problem is their financial numbers are still saying they're making this huge profit.
yeah,
So as long as they're still making a huge profit every quarter, we're not going to see cuts.
yeah.
Like
But
you just
it
won't.
eventually will plateau. Like, if
Right.
you see this in economics and with inflation and all of that, like it eventually hits a point when it can't correct itself, or it can't.
It does. You're right. Um, there was good news today.
There was
It
good
wasn't
news.
all just price increases.
I woke up to the good news first, so
Yeah, that was the
I
first thing
really
I
am.
saw too. I
I
was like,
really am
wow,
glad
look
that
at
they
this.
started with good news, because I actually didn't know about the price increases until you texted me
Right.
today.
No, they started trickling in.
I saw the good news and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Everyone saw the good news and everyone was talking about that. And then it's like, hey, wait a second. And the good news is starting January 9th at Disney World, you can now park up. Not at
All
2.
day
Right.
long.
Yep.
Here's the trick, though.
Yeah.
There's still a trick.
Yep.
You still have to make park reservations.
You do.
And you still have to enter that first park before you can park up to the other park.
Yeah.
This is what I don't understand, though.
Right.
What is preventing anybody from being like, well, Magic Kingdom doesn't have any reservations open.
Right.
I'm just going to
I'm going to go check into Epcot and
check into
then
Epcot
hop on the
and
monorail and go over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The article from Disney Parks blog said that it is still subject to availability. So you do still need to check the app and see if that park is open for park hopping.
Right. You
So now, there have been very few days where they aren't all open.
Right. And you're talking about your peak days. So,
Like your peak days, your
right.
July
Few days,
4th
yeah.
type.
A few days around Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's typically going to be at Disney World. You're mostly going to see that at Magic Kingdom in Hollywood.
right. But what stops people from being like, okay, 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning when the park opens,
Right.
going in there, scanning in, walking the loop around to the exit, and
Nothing.
like,
0.
so what was the point of having the reservations?
Nothing. It's they did say, so if you're an annual pass holder, they're going to have good to go days where you don't need a reservation.
Right.
And then after 2, except for on the weekends, if you're an annual pass holder, you don't need a reservation.
Right.
Right. And they said there's going to be more good to go days.
Yeah.
And then there are certain tickets starting in January.
Dated ticket. So if you have a dated ticket, which is, so like if you buy a ticket package,
right?
So like our military tickets, or like if you've got a room and ticket package,
yeah,
where those tickets themselves are not necessarily like combined with like an individual date. It's not like you just bought the ticket,
right? Yeah,
for that day,
right? But those dated tickets, you don't need a reservation either,
right?
But
I feel like a lot of the dated tickets are ones that you like buy at the gate.
Yeah,
and
you already know where you're going.
Yeah. So I would love to see, I had this thought earlier when I was thinking about it. I would love to see a system that, instead of having to make a reservation, that similar to how our airport and then now our actually our children's hospital has this now too in the parking garage, which I really love.
Barky Barky, that's our dog. Hello, Nala.
Brooklyn's home. They have lights. They have a little sensor above each parking spot, and it tells you how many parking spots like then are available. Like there's a sign that says like how many spots are available, right? And you know how full that parking garage is.
Okay.
Right, when you're coming in.
Right.
Why is there not a system that just says how full each park is?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
So that you can be like, hey, this park is green, this one's yellow, this one's red. It's at capacity.
Right.
Right? Like nobody else is coming in, or it's, yellow or orange, or it's green. Like, why not just have a system that says like each of these parks is,
Yeah, you'd think that'd be fairly easy to do. You could even put that on your app.
yeah, like why? Because I mean, you can see whether that park is available or not. So you just set the parameters to, um,
Right.
you know, between this percentage and this percentage is green, this one and this one is yellow, this one and this one's orange. Like, um, and you can gauge then whether or not you know that they're already tracking that data.
Yeah,
You know that they're already
they
using
are.
that.
They are.
So why not just use that as your way to, because now with allowing people to park hop all day, that reservation for a, enough amount of times is
Mm-hmm.
going to be useless.
It will. Yeah.
And
Because you
that
make
data is not going to help you staff or
right.
do food,
Yep. Because you're gonna have enough people that are gonna be like, I'm hopping over to Magic Kingdom to start off my day. Maybe I'll grab a cinnamon roll,
mm-hmm.
ride a couple rides. Oh look, Epcot's open. I'm heading over there.
Yeah.
Or they're going over to Epcot. Hey, I got my virtual pass for Guardians,
Mm-hmm.
Road Guardians. As soon as it opened, I'm going back over. I'm going to go over to Magic Kingdom or Hollywood now.
Yeah.
Like, it's people are. Yeah. Reservation
And
doesn't make
it
a whole lot of
being
sense.
available for park hopping versus like, oh, this park is like half full
Mm-hmm.
or it's almost at capacity,
Yeah.
like, but it's still quote unquote available for park hopping.
Right.
That's a big difference.
It is.
Like, because I might choose differently which park I'm going to go to,
Right. If
knowing that availability. And so you might even tell me in the app, like, you're trying to steer people towards Epcot for the day because
right.
it's the slow park.
Right.
Like, you might show the other parks as
Yeah.
very full.
Yeah. And change it throughout the day. Like
Yeah.
this few times throughout the day.
You can't tell me that
No,
that
you could do that.
information, like, it wouldn't have to be real time, but like,
Yeah.
if you're already tracking wait times and you're obviously tracking the amount of people that are in each park and are checking into each park in real time,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell me that that's not.
No, that should be fairly easy. But hey, it's good news that you get the park hop.
I am so excited because it means that you can go have lunch somewhere else if
Right.
you want.
Right.
Like,
That is a big deal.
that's huge.
Yeah. It's mostly being, hey, people are gonna hop over to Epcot and eat lunch.
Yeah.
I'd love to say, hey, I'm running over to Animal Kingdom to have lunch, but Animal Kingdom is just so far over there that that's hard to do.
Yeah. Animal Kingdom is the one park that you typically don't park hop from unless you are doing we're doing Animal Kingdom for a few hours,
Right.
and then we're going to the resort, and then we're going to another park in the evening.
Right. But it'd be nice to hop on the Skyliner from Hollywood and go over to Epcot and grab some lunch and go back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the shortest ride in the world, but hey, we like Skyliner.
It's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not that
It's not
bad.
bad. No.
When you're not at a peak time, like trying to get there first thing in the morning or trying to leave at the end of the night,
Right.
those lines aren't bad.
No, they're not. They're not.
So I mean, you guys know we're always going to say it. It's worth it.
It is 100%.
It's worth it. You can make it fit your budget, even with these price increases. There are ways to work with that. And yeah, it might mean that you give up something because you really want to be able to utilize Genie Plus. Great.
Yeah.
Let's find something else that you're not going to do or utilize.
Right.
Maybe you are staying in a value resort instead of a moderate.
Right. Thing I'll be interested to see is, so the way Genie Plus is set up down there, like it's a one set price for a park, but then if you want to do multiple parks, it's usually the same price as it is for Magic Kingdom, right? So most expensive. I'd like to see if there's now going to be more people buying Park Hopper and buying the multiple park Genie Plus.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. You're going to have more people park hopping throughout the day.
Right. Yeah, if you don't have to wait till 2, it makes it easier to do things, even like having like kids. A character dining.
Yeah.
It's like
it changes that completely.
Right.
You know, you've got
now you can go to
Hollywood and Vine or
hey, I'm at Magic Kingdom in the morning. We just watched maybe we just watched a parade, or you did a few things and it's like, hey, I'm gonna go over to Garden Grill and eat lunch with Chip and Dale. And
yeah, no, it definitely opens up flexibility of what you can what you can do throughout your day, and I am here for it. The other thing that is associated with this timeline of when it's coming out, again, this is
Mm-hmm.
January 9, 2024.
Right.
The other thing that is happening that day is that the dining plan is coming back.
It is.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Right.
We love the dining plan. Again,
It's
this sets your budget for you for food
for the most part.
for the most part.
It's not quite as in depth as it used to be, but to give you a quick idea, you have your quick service plan, which is 2 quick service meals and a snack.
So those are your counter service
Right.
meals
Yep. Your fast food meals
per person.
per
So
person.
2 quick service meals per day and 1 snack, which is like a bottle of Coke,
Right.
Mickey Premium ice cream bar, a thing of
Uh
popcorn,
huh.
things like that.
Right. So adults, that's $57 a day.
That's not bad.
No. And kids, it's $23.83.
And remember, kids is 9 and under.
Right.
Is ages 3 to 9. If you are 10, you are on the adult plan.
Right. And then the standard plan, which is the other one you can choose, is 1 table service meal, 1 quick service meal, and 1 snack.
Right.
Right.
That's the one we used to do when we first started doing dining plan. We did that one 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And it worked out nice for us because we would just buy breakfast.
Yeah.
Or bring breakfast with us and have it in
Yeah.
the room.
Because breakfast can be your cheapest meal.
Yeah. Typically is.
Yeah. So that starts at, with adults, is $94.28 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And kids is $29.61.
I mean, like when I think about that and what you can spend at some table service restaurants, and I'm not talking about there are ones that are premium ones that take 2 table service meals.
Right.
Or it used to. And so those are your character dining ones and stuff like that, right? Just to have a table service meal, you are on average going to spend a minimum anyway at a table service meal of about $30 a person at minimum.
At minimum, yeah.
Right. At absolute minimum, you're going to spend at least $30 a person. And so I would say probably closer to 40 per person for a table service meal. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good because then if you do get that meal that is more expensive, that dish that's more expensive,
right,
it all balances out.
Yeah. And if it's already paid for, you're more likely to enjoy some of those nicer, like that nicer dish. Like, you know what, maybe today I will get the steak.
Yeah.
Rather than, well, no, I think today's a chicken breast day.
Oh, no. Jackson used to eat steak every single meal because we'd already paid for it.
Right. And then, I mean, I think even quick service per person, you're looking at least $15 to $20.
Yeah.
So
I'm 100%.
And then your snack, don't waste your snack on a bottle of water or a bottle of Coke.
There are better snacks.
Right. Use it on an actual snack. And those are going to run you anywhere from $6 to $15.
Well, a lot of the ones that are more expensive, like in the $15 range, aren't snack eligible for dining plan.
Well, no, there's some that are that I'm thinking of some different funnel cakes and
I guess
like
those ones are. But the thing is we love the dining plan. We've talked about it before and how much we miss it and how instrumental it can be for you in planning.
Right. It doesn't necessarily save you money, but it saves you peace of mind.
Saves you peace of mind. It saves you some decision making.
Right.
Because you get to just be like, yeah, and you're going to get, a quick service. You get an entree and a drink and usually some dessert. And so, you do, we tried so many other things using the dining plan.
Right.
Than we do when we're having to sit there and look at prices of each individual item and go, holy.
Yep. It's like, nope, I guess I'm going quick service again.
Yeah. We eat a lot more quick service without the dining plan.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We eat a lot more quick service when Dad doesn't go with us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But Dad likes table service more than quick service. So
yeah. Just bad thing about table service is it's going to take a bit.
It eats up into your day.
Yeah.
It does. There is not a deluxe dining plan coming back yet.
Not that they've announced. No.
That one was our favorite.
Yeah.
Because it was whatever 3 meals you wanted.
Yeah.
You could do 3 table service meals in a day. You could do 3 quick service.
Right.
And you got 2 snacks per person.
Right.
And it gave us so much flexibility.
Yeah.
Like to just not have to worry about food.
Right. That was almost too much food.
Yeah, it was.
It was a lot. And
well,
to the end to where we're like burning snacks.
We were making a lot of, and when we did that, the last couple times we did that, we had a lot of table service reservations.
We did.
And so we were trying to get the most out of our cost of it. So we ate at a lot of table service restaurants. I mean, like we ate at Coral Reef.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like we ate at nice restaurants. Like,
yeah.
It's not like we were.
Yeah, no, we ate at a lot, especially the last time we did a lot of table service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah, 100%. It's worth it. It's definitely a peace of mind thing of like just not having to,
Yeah, I'd rather know what I'm spending rather than having to guesstimate what I'm spending. Because even if I budget it out, I know I'm probably gonna blow past that budget.
We get caught up in souvenirs and random snacks where we're just like all of a sudden we're like, no, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
We spend a lot on snacks.
Yeah.
For sure.
We do.
I hate that majority of the news was just cost related essentially today.
Yeah.
The only one that's not really is Park Hopper.
Right. There was another piece of news that came out, but I'm going to kind of watch that a little bit, I think. It has to do with the Reedy Creek district.
Oh, yeah. I'm
and Universal.
I'm not ready to talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm not ready to talk about that stuff yet. If you are planning a trip, if you are interested in planning a trip and you have questions about these changes, because those 2024 dates are open to book.
Yep.
So if you have questions about these changes, drop us a message on Instagram or on Twitter.
Yeah.
Easiest place to find us at Salute to the Ears.
Yep. On both of them. Any questions?
We also have the most amazing travel agent to send you to if you need a travel agent, and it doesn't cost you anything to book a Disney vacation with her.
No, she does all the work and then Disney pays her.
That's exactly right.
So I say with that, we're going to say go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.